So how do we solve this problem? Well, we focused here on industry I, but every industry is solving this same problem right here. Is that clear to everyone? So what we can do is we can stack these equations across all industries. On the left-hand side, that's going to get us the whole vector of price changes. And then on the right-hand side, in some ways, we already have this vector of price changes. So to see that, actually, let's rewrite this equation first. So I'll use this board because this is going to become a large equation quite quickly. So delta P1 will be the first entry in this matrix. Delta P capital I is going to equal, these prices aren't varying at all at the industry level, so really we just have a share here. So we have S11 all the way up to SI1 times the change in W1 plus S12 all the way up to SI2 times the change in the second input price. Now, how are we going to arrange this? Well, here, note first the way that we can write this object. So I'll put this over here. So for any given individual I, I'm going to use a little bit of econometrics notation here, but there's a lot of different ways to write this. You can write this as phi I, and then in econometrics often people will put like a filled in dot to refer to all of the columns. There's also more programming ways of writing that where you would use a colon or something like that. But this then is a row vector. Is that clear to everybody? So we have this big matrix phi. We're taking the ith row, all of the columns. It's now a row vector. And we multiply that by the change in the whole vector of prices, which by default is a column vector, we'll say. So is that clear to everybody how this is the same as that? So now in the same way we have, well, this vector object is not something that's different for any industry, so it can go to the right just as those delta W's did. And then on the left, the row object for each industry is going to be phi1 dot all the way down to phi capital I dot, which is just this whole matrix phi. So over here, we just end up with plus phi times the change in the whole vector of prices. So does everyone see now how stacking this actually lets us solve this equation? Because what is this on the left-hand side? This is delta P vector, which is here. We have delta P vector there, and we have these other common factors, original factors, natural resources in the rest of this equation. Okay, so now let's solve this. So on the left-hand side, we have delta P vector. We can add an identity matrix to the left-hand side, minus just taking the phi across. And now these shares all also condense. So we'll say that this is actually S1 vector, and this is S2 vector. Just condensing that notation a little bit. S1 vector delta W1 plus S2 vector delta W2. Okay, and now remember we have to be a little bit careful with matrices and commuting and where we multiply, but we can still take this out front. So this is just going to be I minus phi times the change in the vector of prices equals all of this. Now invert that I minus phi to solve this equation. We get the change in the vector of prices is I minus phi inverse times the right-hand side of this above equation. Is that solution clear to everybody?